Math 3 students. Today we are going to go over how to factor a difference of squares. This is something that we covered in Math 2, so this hopefully should be a review, and if it's not, no big deal. That's why we're going over it. So if you recall, we can go back to our factoring flowchart, right? And so far we've learned what we do when there's 4 terms, and then we've learned what we do when there's 3 terms. Now, the difference of squares is going to be a possibility when we have 2 terms, all right? So when, I lost where I was. So you know you have a difference of squares when you have 2 terms. You need a subtraction sign, okay? So that's why it's called difference of squares. If there's a plus sign, you can't do difference of squares. Additionally, you need to be able to square root both of the terms. So the square root of x squared is going to be just x. When you take the square root of a variable, you take the power and you divide it by 2. So essentially, the power is going to need to be an even number so that you can square root it. And then the number itself has to be a perfect square, so the square root of 9 is 3. Then you take both of your square roots, and it's going to follow a pattern of just plus, minus. So you do x plus 3, x minus 3. All right. So one thing I do want to point out is there's going to be some instances where it looks like it's a difference of squares, but it's not. Okay. So some examples of where it's going to look like, maybe I can do difference of squares, but you actually cannot, would be something like this. Let's say we've got x squared plus 25. Okay. We have 2 terms, and you actually can square root both of these, right? X squared, square root is just x. The square root of 25 is 5, so you can square root both of those. However, it's not a difference, right? There's no minus sign there, so this is not a difference of squares, okay? Another instance would be, let's say we had, I don't know, we'll do 25x squared minus 18, all right? Yeah, we have a difference. We have 2 terms. However, if we go and attempt to square root these, well, this I can square root, I get 5x, but the square root of 18 is not a nice number, you get a decimal. So this is also not a difference of squares, okay? So in order to be a difference of squares, you need to be able to square root both terms, and you need a minus sign, all right? So here, I've got 2 terms, I've got a minus sign. Can I square root both of these? Well, the square root of x squared is x, the square root of 25 is 5. So I'm good to go. My answer here is going to follow this plus minus pattern. I get x plus 5, x minus 5. And that is my answer here. All right, now doing this plus minus pattern, what ends up happening is that middle term ends up canceling out, and that's how you end up with 2 terms instead of a trinomial. So I'll go ahead and just multiply this out to show you what happens. We get x squared minus 5x plus 5x minus 25. Well, these guys cancel and you're left with x squared minus 25. So that is how we end up with, that middle term dropping out. All right, go ahead, pause the video, and I want you to see if you can do the U-try. Give it a shot. You have nothing to lose. Do it in pencil. If you get it wrong, you can erase it and write down what I write. So pause it, give it a shot. All right, so we got 2 terms. We can square root both of these. We get x, we get 1. All right, so then we're going to follow our plus minus pattern. X plus 1, x minus 1. And that would be our answer there. All right, next one. We got 2 terms. We're like, okay, can we square root both of these terms? Yes, we can. We got 4x and 7. All right, again, you take the power, you divide it by 2 when you're square rooting it. And if you forgot how to square root, you could go to your calculator. On the TI-84, you would do second and then the x squared button. So I would plug in a 16. That gives me the 4 there. I could plug in a 49, and I get a 7. You cannot plug the x's in, though. Those you do have to know that you just divide the power by 2. So then we go ahead. We get 4x plus 7 and 4x minus 7 is our answer here. All right. Go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to give this U-Try a shot. So we've got two terms here. We can square root both of them, right? So we get 3x and we get 10. So our answer is going to be 3x plus 10 and 3x minus 10. All right, then these next ones. Now, here's the deal. With these next ones, you actually don't know that you have like a perfect square trinomial until after you factor. So really, you're just going to approach this the way that we've factored these before, right? So if I look at my flow chart, right, I've got well, first I look for a GCF. There isn't one. So then I look at my flow chart. I've got 3 terms, so I know that I can use the AC method, okay? So I'm going to go back here, use the AC method. This is like a 1 out in front, right? So we do 1 times 16. I want to multiply to 16 and add to 8. I get 1, 16, 2 and 8, and 4 and 4. Then I'm like, okay, well, I want to multiply to a positive, add to a positive, so they're both going to be positive. And the two numbers that are going to work here are going to be 4 and 4. So I do x squared plus 4x plus 4x plus 16. And then I can go ahead, take out my GCF here. I take out an x. I get x plus 4. Take out a GCF here, which is 4. I get x plus 4. So my answer here is x plus 4, x plus 4. Now this is like an acceptable answer. However, it is important that you know that there's a second way to write this. Another way that you could write this answer is x plus 4 squared. Okay, and it is good habit to write it as a perfect square. If I say to write it as a perfect square, you definitely need to do that. And I want you to know that these are equivalent, especially because when you get to like the SAT, ACT, a lot of the times, like if this was your answer, they're going to write it like this. They're not going to write it like the x plus 4 times x plus 4. All right, go ahead, give this one a shot. Pause the video. So again, we multiply, we get 1 times 49. I'm going to list out all my factors of 49, which there's not a lot. I get 1 and 49, and then 7 and 7. Now I want to multiply to a positive and add to a negative. So that means that both of these guys are going to be negative. All right. So then I get x squared minus 7x plus 49. I can take my x out. I divide each of these by x. I get x minus 7. And then here, since my leading term's negative, I'm going to take a negative out, divide each of these by negative 7, and I get x minus 7. So then my final answer here is x minus 7 times x minus 7, which means I can write it as x minus 7 squared.